Welcome, welcome, welcome. What up, everybody? You just on time, bro. You just on time, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Give everybody a few minutes. Hit that one if you can hear me. Hit that one. Let me see some ones in the chat if you can hear me. What's up, everybody? Hit some ones in the chat if you can hear me. Bet. Heck yeah. All right, I'm gonna give it maybe another 30 seconds or so, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the show started. I don't plan to be on here too long, but it's some stuff I really want to talk about with you all, big time. As always, hit the like button on your way in. Here, let me get this banner. I'm still trying to get the hang of this, everybody. Let's see. Somebody told me to do this, so I'm gonna do this too. Hit that like button on your way in if you don't mind. I did not get a chance to watch it. I heard that Erica Kirk was gonna go live, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. But look, I'm gonna go ahead and get it started because I know when people watch these lives back, they really hate these long pauses. So I'm trying to be cognizant of those people and their in the playback time. What I would recommend everybody, well, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to say that because it's not going to help me if you do that. But I've probably gained 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers over the past couple of days, strictly off of my Erica Kirk video, and I appreciate the love big time. But if that's the case, that means I have a lot of people here that are new. So I'm going to tell you, like I've told other people, if you do not mind, based on the type of content that you will find on this channel, my channel can not only get demonetized, but it can also be taken from me pretty fast. They've taken a lot of channels over the years that talk about the things that we talk about. So I will say this. Follow me on my other socials, Twitter and Instagram, specifically Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram. You can find it at Didi Got a Podcast. Let me get this up off of here. On all the same names, on all platforms, Didi Got a Podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about maybe 3 or 4 things. Something I want to talk about is Candace Owens and her covering this Charlie Kirk situation. I want to give you all my thoughts about it and why I believe that Candace Owens is going to put herself, she's already placed herself in a very difficult position. And I'm going to explain to you what I predict will probably happen by next week. We're going to talk about that, and specifically Candace Owens and her coverage of Erica Kirk. We're going to cover that. We're also going to cover Nick Fuentes talking about political hypocrisy, the hypocrisy that he's noticed in politics. Now, he's been talking about this for a long time, but I want to actually spend some time talking about that on my channel. And I'm going to specifically start the video off with that because I would like to show you all. I follow on Patreon. I don't have social media. Okay, that works too, Indian. I appreciate you following on Patreon. That works too. But I'm going to share this. The first thing we're going to listen to before we get to Erica Kirk and before we get to Candace Owens is we're going to play this Nick Fuentes clip. It's a pretty lengthy clip, but Nick Fuentes, regardless of how you feel about him, he's a pretty entertaining orator or communicator. So I want to play this clip, and then I'm going to share with you all how I had an almost identical experience as Nick Fuentes. He had it on the right. I had it on the left. I really want to share this story for one reason, and then I'm going to shut up and play the clip because it'll help you all better understand why I make the type of content that I make on YouTube, what led to me making the type of content that I make on YouTube. It will also help you better understand the hypocrisy that I've noticed in everyday life, which has led to me being a quote-unquote independent with conservative values, right? So without further ado, I'm going to play. Oh, yeah, and I'm going to talk about Erica Kirk and a couple of other damning evidence that suggests the fact that Erica Kirk is not who we think she is, including in this film. We're going to include I'm going to tell you all some additional things that I found in Snake Eyes that I did not talk about in my Snake Eyes video. And I'm going to include for you all, if you've seen both videos on Erica Kirk and Snake Eyes, I'm going to show you some other stuff about Erica Kirk. For anybody who's still holding out hope that this woman is who you think she is, I have some additional things I'm going to show you that's going to make it very difficult for you to continue to defend this lady, right? So without further ado, let's get into the first clip. Once again, it's pretty lengthy, but I promise you it's worth it. Let's get it. Okay, that should be playing. I don't see a video. Do you all see a video? Let's try this over. Okay, this is a bit odd. I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on one sec. Okay, so that's working. Will this work? Hold on one sec. One sec. I always got to remember to do this, and I always forget. Sorry about the pause, y'all. I don't know what's going on with this clip. Let me see if I can get it. Hold on.
Article about it on my blog. I had a blog at that time, and I noticed that Obama, who was still the president during the lame duck period, he told our ambassador to the United Nations not to veto a resolution condemning the West Bank settlements. So there's a resolution saying Israel's settlements in the West Bank are illegal. Normally, the United States vetoes that on behalf of Israel to protect them. But Obama instructed our ambassador to abstain. And so the resolution went through. And everybody on the right wing said Obama's an anti-Semite. He hates Jews because he did that. And I said, wait a second. I went through and I did the research, and I said, ever since 1967, during the Six-Day War, when Israel occupied the West Bank and Gaza Strip, it has been the official U.S. policy that we do not support the civilian settlements. That's technically illegal under international law. I said, so all Obama did was really uphold the same policy that every president did, Republican and Democrat, yet they're calling him a Jew hater. I said, I don't think Obama hates Jews. Obama's supported by the Jewish left. People like Saul Alinsky mentored him or influenced him. So I don't think he hates Jews. I think that he's just carrying out our policy. And so I said, how is that any different than when, let's say, a conservative critiques BLM, they get called a racist. You critique feminism, you get called a sexist.
Where were you working at that time? Were you working anywhere? You were independent?
I was independent.
Okay, so you're not with anybody while you're writing this.
Right.
So you're free to write and say whatever you want. Okay,
right.
Continue.
Yeah, so I was just on my own blog, and so I wrote that out. I said, this is hypocritical. I said, and this is something that crops up over and over, is this double standard when it comes to anti-Semitism, when it comes to Israel, and I called this out. And Cassie Dillon, who was my friend, I would raise this issue with her, and I would criticize Ben Shapiro very harshly. He was very anti-Trump at that time. And I said, I think Ben Shapiro is Israel first. And I think that when Trump says in his inaugural, it's America first, why is it that Israel gets all this foreign aid? They're the number one recipient for 50 years. They're not a poor country. Why is it that much largesse? And so I would press her on this and other related questions. And eventually she threw arms up in, I think it was March 2017. And she said, we are no longer in the same movement. She said, you are anti-Israel. The way you're going about this is anti-Semitic.
This is Casey.
This is, Cassie Dillon.
Cassie Dillon.
She goes, you're attacking Shapiro and in an anti-Semitic way. I don't like your tone. She said, and I really want nothing to do with you anymore. And so she blocked me on Twitter. And my whole friend group, who was with Daily Wire, Elliot Hamilton, Aaron Bandler, all these other writers at Daily Wire, they all blocked me. They would not talk to me. And then...
Now, you guys all know each other. You've hung out and you're friends.
Yes.
In what context do you guys hang out? Because you're not with Daily Wire.
Right. So we would hang out at... we hung out at the Christmas party for the Massachusetts College Republicans that she hosted, and I did her show a couple of times.
So you did do her show on Daily Wire?
Not on Daily Wire, and RSBN.
Okay,
She had
got
a
it.
show.
Okay.
Yeah. And so,
So they all block you. They want to have nothing to do with you at the time.
right.
We're not on the same page. We're going different direction. Has she yet converted to Judaism or not yet? She's still a Christian at the time.
She had begun the conversion at
Got
that
it.
point.
And were you seeing the evolution of that happening or
I
no?
was, yes.
Was she seeing somebody while you guys were talking or no?
I don't believe she was.
Okay,
But she had been to Israel a bunch of times.
So why was she wanting to convert? Why was she going through that process? What was her reasoning? Did she tell you?
No, we never discussed it on an intimate level.
So till today, you guys have never cleared it up why she became a...
Never, no.
Well, maybe she can send you an email because I want to know. I'm curious to know why that
I do
happens.
too, yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to know why that happened. Okay, so now when that happens,
Now, once again, for those of you who are just joining, we are simply watching this clip, which is well over halfway through now. We're watching the clip of Nick Fuentes, regardless of how you feel about Nick Fuentes. I have my criticisms of him as well. But Nick Fuentes tells a lot of truth as well. Don't get it twisted. I don't care how he hurt your feelings. He tells a lot of truth. He says a lot of things that are hateful. He says a lot of things that are not true as well. But I don't hold things against people, especially when they're also truth tellers, simply because they've said something that's considered hateful. We don't rock like that on this channel. Especially when he stood up to that foreign country the way that he has. But for those of you that are just now joining, we're simply reacting to Nick Fuentes talking about how he first learned that there is hypocrisy in the conservative base. I'm going to then follow up and tell you about a story, a very, very intriguing story that I think a lot of you all will find entertaining, of my own experience, of how I found out the hard way that there are double standards and hypocrisy in politics. And I found out the hard way. Let's continue.
you're on August 18th. When's your birthday?
August 18th. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the first emotion you're getting? You're by yourself. She tells you this. Everybody gets blocked. What is it? Is it anger? Is it resentment? Is it I'm going to get him? Is it vengeance? What's the first emotion you're feeling?
I was stunned. I was honestly just shocked because, you know, the idea on the right wing is we're the marketplace of ideas. And so nothing's off limits and you're supposed to bring your best ideas and you debate them out. That's the whole program.
Right.
And so to get such a cold and frosty response, it was actually a little disturbing because it's like, you know, I slept over at her sister's apartment. I went to her Christmas party. We hung out. We disagree on this issue, which, by the way, isn't even an American issue. It's not like we had a falling out because I became some communist or anything to do with America. It's because I didn't support a foreign country. And I said, you know, even if we disagree on the issue, we can't even talk to each other or be friends personally. Forget about even professionally working together. I was stunned at how she turned into there was this transformation. And then I got angry. And I would talk about this on my show. I would kind of go on the show, and it made me lean into the issue because I said, clearly something is here. It's being treated differently than other issues.
Would you say at that time you're how old? 19 years old-ish?
I was 18.
18 years old. Okay. Up until that time, have you ever been offended the way you were offended by Cassie? At that level, that kind of a pain, that kind of a...
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So that's the first moment where what do you mean? I'm just being reasonable. I'm just questioning things. What's wrong with that? Why do you not want to have a relationship? So that's the feeling you have at the time.
Yes.
So you're going in on it. You're getting stronger and more vocal. Who are you in your mind? Are you saying this is because Ben's in her ear? Who in your mind at 18 years old are you saying this is why she flipped? Who are you thinking about?
I don't think I was thinking about it in that way. I didn't even really have a concept of in what way they were organized. And by that, I mean the pro-Israel lobby or influence operation. I had no mental model of what that looked like. So to me, it just came across as groupthink. To me, it came across as that's a dogmatic plank of conservatism. And I didn't really see it as maybe proceeding from a higher level or anything like that.
Got it. So, but are you at the time, are you calling around saying, why did this happen? What was this all about? You know, are you asking your peers, why are they not talking to me? Was there from that moment to you having some sort of animosity or whatever word you want to use, animosity or frustration towards Ben, what is the timeline from that moment, 18, to frustration and animosity towards Ben?
Well, I had already had animosity towards him.
Why is that?
So in December, some months before, I put out a tweet on Twitter, and I had about 1,000 followers on Twitter. 1,000. Think of that's not a big account. And I tweeted, I said, if you put China over America, you should go to China. If you put Mexico over America, you should go to Mexico. You see where this is going? I said, if you put Israel over America, you should go live in Israel. Shapiro quote tweeted that and said, accusing Jews of dual loyalty is the surest sign that you're an anti-Semite.
Had 1,000 followers? Why would he retweet that?
Someone must have sent it to him.
No matter how you feel about Nick Fuentes, no matter how critical you are of Nick Fuentes, right? One thing you can't take away from him is that he's very well researched, he's very well informed, and regardless if you agree or disagree with someone, this is America. You should be able to hold your own opinions and not be casted out of a completely, political side of a movement simply because a person does not agree with you. Imagine that. You're supposed to be the catalyst and the leaders of free speech and exchanging ideas, right? You're supposed to be the opposite of the left. Yet when it comes to this foreign nation, all of a sudden people like Ben Shapiro flip-flops. He's a hypocrite. And I don't care how much you don't like Nick Fuentes, even he should not be treated this way. He should be able to ask questions about a foreign nation without being called names and without being banned. No, that's not how this works. We're in America. Let me tell you all a story. Hold on. I'm going to read super chats at the end. Let me tell you all a story. In the last 5 years of my life, you're going to find this very entertaining. And once again, for those of you that are just joining, we're going to talk about Miss Erica Kirk here in a second. Right? We're going to talk about Miss Erica Kirk here in a second. So just give me a moment. But in the meantime, let me tell you all about this very interesting story. So in the last 5 years of my life, long story short, I went on this trip. I was working for this organization, and I went on this trip. And this trip, we went to this museum, and at the very end of this tour, we're going to end up in this conference room. Now, in this conference room, there is going to be a panel where a state governor, I'm not going to say what state this governor was from, there's going to be a state governor and a host. They're going to host a panel where the host is going to ask this state governor a slew of different questions. And at the very end, they'll do a Q&A, right? Now, this is about a group of maybe 250 people. Just to give you an idea of where I was in the space that I was in at this time in my life. Again, this was within the last 5 years of my life. This is about 250, 300 progressives or people on the left. Of the 250-ish, I would say about 220 of them are women. Of the 220, I would say about 175 are white women, white liberal women. So I'm giving you an idea of the crowd that I'm here with. So this panel takes place at the end of the tour, and we're in this conference room, and she's answering questions. And at some point in her speech, this governor, this lady, starts talking about how in her state, they're literally passing bills to unalive people. She says this. She says they're trying to take us back to the Jim Crow, before the Jim Crow era, because they're introducing and has even passed some bills that is designed to unalive people. She said this to a crowd of maybe 250, 300 people. So I'm listening to her, and I'm like, a bill that's designed to kill, to unalive people. But she doesn't go into great details about this bill. So at the very end of this, long story short, at the very end, it's time for Q&A, and I raised my hand. I waited until like 3 or 4 of the people got a chance to ask a question. So then I raised my hand. When I raised my hand, I had a two-part question. The first part of my question, which I don't remember, I didn't really care for that question. But the only reason I did a two-part question is so that the second question, which is what I really wanted to know the answer to, it wouldn't come off as so controversial. It wouldn't come off as so combative, right? So I asked the first question, and then the second question I said, and also earlier you said that there is a bill that they are introducing that is designed to unalive people. Do you mind elaborating a little bit on this bill, maybe the name of the bill, and maybe give us some details about how this bill is designed to harm people? So as I'm talking to her, she does the politic thing, the things that politicians do. She goes, oh, absolutely. So whenever I get done asking the question to her, she goes, thank you so much. See, this is what we need right here. We need people like, I'm sorry, what's your name? I said, Demetrius. She said, we need people like Demetrius to ask the hard questions, because if not, how are we going to ever move forward? And I'm sitting there like, I never asked you any hard questions. I simply asked you, lady, you just sat here and said that there are bills that have been passed in your state that is taking us back to before the Jim Crow era that is designed to kill people or unalive people. I want you to explain that to us. I don't know why you hadn't already done it. That's a common sense question. Of course, people are going to want to know that, unless I'm in a room where they don't actually ask follow-up questions, unless I'm in a room where they actually entertain this foolishness, right? So she starts to answer the first question. So she answers the first question. When she gets done with the first question, she transitions into the second question, but she never answers it. She goes, she did the Kamala Harris thing, the word salad, the gibberish. Like, she's saying a bunch of words and she's making it sound like she's really addressing it, but she's not addressing what I asked her. So she gets done talking for like 2 minutes of word salad without actually addressing the question that I asked her. And then she looked at the host as to say, like, I'm finished answering. The host gave her a nod and they moved on. I'm sitting there like she never answered my question. So the host did one of the most incredible things, and to this day, I think he's the coolest person for doing this. He called on the next person. They asked the governor their question. As the governor is answering this next person's question, the host looks at me in a room full of about 300 people, y'all. The host looks at me and he mouths to me. He goes, she didn't answer your question, did she? He didn't say it, but he mouthed it. She didn't answer your question, did she? He saw my confused look. And I was like, no, she didn't. He said, all right, I got you. Literally in front of everybody, he's mouthing this to me. He's like, okay, I got you. So like 2 or 3 people asked her questions. And then the host circles back to me. He goes, okay, Governor, before we take our last question, I believe Demetrius, I believe he asked you 2 questions, and I don't believe you were able. I was very curious how he was going to say this without sounding combative. He said, Demetrius, I believe he asked you 2 questions, and I don't believe you were able to get to the second question. So if you don't mind, I think he still would like an answer to the second question. And I was like, thank you so much. I'm so curious to hear about this. And she goes, oh, I am so sorry. Y'all have to stop me. My husband, he'll tell you I get to running off at the mouth and it's a bunch of gibberish. He goes, I'm so sorry, baby. What's your question again? So I repeat the question to her. I said, hey, you said that there is a bill or some bills in your state that has actively been passed and some that are being put through Congress that is designed to kill people. I said, in a room full of your allies, I'm trying to make this as softball of a question as I can. I said, in a room full of allies, I think it would be nice if you would just explain to us maybe the bill number, maybe the name of this bill, maybe how this bill is killing people, because you said some people have even died from this bill. Do you mind explaining to us about this bill? This lady, y'all, goes on another word salad. And in short, basically, this woman was talking about bills that prevented underage children from receiving, gender affirming care. She said that these bills that said that it is now illegal to give underage children, not adults, underage children, gender affirming care, health care, was killing people on purpose. She said this in so many ways, but she still never fully answered the question. I had to read between the lines. So when she never answered, I was like, I just sat there like, okay, I got enough of it, but she still didn't answer my question. I'm looking at this lady like, this lady just sat here and lied to hundreds of people, and nobody seems upset about it. So this is the juicy part, y'all. This is the best part. I'm at this event with a colleague. This colleague that I'm at this event with, wearing our suit and our ties, this dress for the event. This colleague that I'm at this event with is technically, I guess, my superior. This person is someone I answer to, right? So we weren't sitting together when this took place, because at the end of the tour, I stopped and went to the restroom. So by the time I made it in the conference room, this person was sitting at another table that was already full. So now I'm sitting by default at the front. So the Q&A ends. So I get up to go and find my colleague. As I go and find my colleague, the most interesting thing happened. As I'm walking up to this person, they're doing everything but looking at me. Now, remember, I have no clue that I've done anything wrong. I have no clue about anything. I'm walking towards this person. The first thing that I noticed was that this person wasn't making eye contact with me. They saw me walking to them, but they never made eye contact. I noticed it, but I didn't make a big deal out of it. So it wasn't until I arrived like face to face with this person, I was like, hey, what's up? I'm in a jolly mood. I'm looking forward to the rest of the trip because we have like unlimited food. Like we don't have to pay for anything. I'm excited. I'm there to learn. I walk up to this person, and without looking at me, this person says to me, you're taking up too much space. Like I heard the person say it, but no one's ever said that to me before. So I almost didn't even hear what the person said. I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me. And they said it again. They said, you're taking up too much space. Now, this is a person who is not so-called black. The reason why that's important, everybody, is because in the history of this country, as we know, so-called African Americans were not allowed to vote, right? We didn't have any voting power. We were told that our vote wasn't good enough. Our opinions weren't good enough, right? In so many words, we were told we're taking up too much space. So it's very important as a non-so-called African American or American African that you specify what you mean when you say to me, I'm taking up too much space. What do you mean by that? This person has still not made eye contact with me. So they're very uncomfortable. But this is something they feel like they need to tell me. I'm like, what do you mean by that? And they go, you're asking too many questions. And I was like, wait, do what? And they said again, you're asking too many questions. And I was like, yo, I asked one question. I raised my hand one time. Well, it was a two-part question, but I raised my hand one time. What do you mean I asked one question? And we go back and forth. It's very, very hostile. It's very, very tense. The air is very thin or very thick. So this person ended up cutting the conversation short. I'm still in the dark. I'm completely confused. So this person is wanting to take a picture with this governor so that we can take it back to the team. So we walk across this room. We get in front of the governor. She's busy taking pictures with other people. And I'm standing there with my colleague, and I decide to continue the conversation. I say, yo, I'm still very confused. I'm not trying to argue, but you said I'm asking too many questions. I've only asked one question. I raised my hand one time. I said, was it the actual question that I asked you? Or was it that something else? And he was like, this person was like, no. You're allowed to ask whatever you want. you're allowed to have whatever opinions you want. It's just you've raised your hands like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 days since we've been here. And that's not very equitable. What? It's not very equitable. You're not giving other people the opportunity to ask questions in these limited times. I'm looking at this person like, is this a joke? Very, 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 very intense moment. Long story short, so I don't take too much time here, I learned the hard way. You're not supposed to ask questions about transgenderism. You're not supposed to ask questions about feminism. You're not supposed to ask questions about racism on the left. Now, many of you would say, Didi, well, you should have known that. I learned this the hard way because remember, this is my boss that I experienced this with. I had just joined this organization. When I got back, because we were out of town, when I got back to the office next week, they had a sitting down with me where they almost tried to teach me the right way to handle myself in these environments. So in other words, don't ask questions that make sense. Don't ask critical thinking questions. That's what happened. That's not Demetrius. I'm not doing that. To this day, no one ever told me that it was the actual question that I asked, which I know was the problem. You're mad because I asked her, and it almost appeared as if I was challenging her, even though I said it very respectfully. Lady, you're up here gaslighting people, telling them that they're trying to kill other humans with bills, and nobody's challenging you on that. So I raised my hand and said, do you mind giving us a bill number? Never gave us a bill number. Do you mind telling us the name of the bill? Never told us the name of the bill. Lady, you're lying. You're lying. So I learned the hard way. So I firsthand know about political hypocrisy. Now, again, I don't want to waste too much time. So let's move to Miss Erica Kirk. So remember when we talked about the ring that Erica Kirk was wearing with the G on it? I've had some people tell me, well, the G, that's not for Freemasonry. That G stands for the first letter of Erica and Charlie Kirk's daughter's name. What? It's the same thing with you all saying her doing this sign means I love you. Listen to me. Sure, that sign does mean I love you in sign language. Why is she using sign language? Why is she doing it in that moment, hugging Donald Trump? You know what that is. So you're also going to say that the G on her ring stands for Gigi? Do you all know that we don't actually know the name or the official names of Erica and Charlie Kirk's children? If I'm wrong about this, please correct me in this moment. This is the one time I will look at the chat. Does anybody know the names of Erica and Charlie Kirk's children? Does anybody? Does anybody know the name of Erica and Charlie Kirk's? I'll give you time to Google it. Somebody said Gina. They have more than one child. What is the names of their children? Somebody said Gigi. Yes, that's my understanding. What's the name of their son? Now, I've seen all the comments of people saying, in response to me pointing out that you can find almost a single picture anywhere of Erica and Charlie Kirk's children's faces. People said, well, parents do that all the time. They don't want their children out there, especially when you are a very infamous person or a very controversial person. They try to keep their children safe and their identity. That's a valid point. I don't believe that's Erica and Charlie Kirk's reason. But I want you all to tell me what their children's names are. Does anybody know? Provocateur. That works too. But that's not quite the word I'm looking for. What does anybody know at least their son's name. Does anybody know their son's name? Because somebody going to have to explain something I'm about to show you all. Polarizing. There it is. Thank you so much, Dayhard Ray. Thank you, Ray. I knew it started with a P, but it wasn't provocateur. Very polarizing figure. Thank you so much, Ray. So since no one seems to know the name of their children, and they said that the G on her ring stands for Gigi. Okay? Well, can anybody explain this? Does anybody see it? That's an M. She has a ring with the letter M on it. You know, the same M that I covered in Snake Eyes that was on the pillars that could stand for both Mason or Masonic, but it could also stand for the Mother Goddess. Won't get too deep into that on YouTube. We talk about that type of stuff on Patreon. But the Mother Goddess. Can anybody explain to me the M? Since the G, and y'all are so confident that the G is for her child, which would make no sense. Why would you not get the entire name spelled out? It's only Gigi. Can anybody explain the M? Yes, we already know. We discussed that. Her father was an architect for Israel's Iron Dome. Deep ties to Israel. Yes, absolutely. I've already stated this before. Everything I say in this live is alleged, right? Allegedly, right? I believe that Erica Kirk was, and many people, and I'm almost there, would argue is, if you follow my drift, Charlie Kirk's handler. Can anybody explain the M? What does the M stand for? Anybody? Somebody? Hey, yo, somebody said the M symbolizes mother. Is this, are you trolling me? Are you trolling me? Are you trolling me? Yeah, I think he's trolling me. Mom. They said it stands for mom. Come on, stop it. Jennifer gets it. Where you at, Jennifer? Where did that comment go? Jennifer gets it. But hold on. Let's further drive this point home, because we can clearly see the M, which once again could stand for Mason or it could stand for Mother Goddess. We've talked about the hand sign right here. This stands for the hand sign that Nicolas Cage is making right here, stands for the divine feminine. We won't get too deep right here on YouTube, but if you know, you know, especially if you're a Patreon member. Some others risk talking about this on YouTube. I want to keep my channel. This stands for the divine feminine. And if you look at all the things that have taken place since Charlie Kirk was quote unquote assassinated, it 100% has all the divine feminine signs. So this ring with the M on it makes perfect sense. Stop with the excuses for these people. You don't know these people. We don't know these people. Stop it. You all want to know something else that's crazy? Let me see if I can find this picture. Let me show you who Erica Kirk looks like. Hold on. Let me show y'all who she looks like. This is going to blow y'all mind. Hold on. I'm about to show y'all something. Let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all something. Where is it at? 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 I'm going to take too much time. She looks a lot like and it's somebody that's once again tied to Donald Trump. Let me show y'all something. tell me this woman right here does not look a lot like of course. That is so annoying. So annoying. She looks a lot like this person right here. Dude, what in the world? Let's see. She looks a lot like, sheesh, this person. Does anybody see the resemblance between Caroline, is it Leavitt, the White House, I believe she's the press secretary? But I'm going to find a side-by-side for you all. Hold on. Where is the side-by-side? Let me find the side-by-side. Where is it at? There it is. Okay. I'm not saying people can't look alike and they're not allowed to look alike. But this guy pointed it out and he made a great point. Let's pull it up. Let's get a side-by-side between these two people. Do y'all think they look alike? Somebody said some people said that they see it. But let's pull it up. Let's pull a side-by-side up. Boom. 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 Does anyone see it? What is it with Donald Trump and white blondes? Somebody said they wouldn't reach that far. Does anybody see it? No? No? Okay, that's fair. No, the teeth is definitely hold on. Before people think I'm saying something that I'm not saying these are the same people. That's not what I'm saying. Some people believe that. That's not the argument that I'm making. My point is, it seems that Trump has a type. That's the point that I'm making. And they resemble each other quite a bit. You all are free to go a step further if you believe that it's like they might be the same person or something. That's not the argument that I'm making. Something else I wanted to point out about this movie right here. Give me some ones in the chat if you've seen my video covering Snake Eyes. It really don't even matter if you've seen my video or not. So many people have covered this at this point, so you definitely should have seen it. But something I failed to mention in this video is that there was an ambulance in the film. Now remember, in this film, everybody, it also took place at the Trump Plaza. And the date of the situation in the movie when the boxer named Tyler allegedly pow-powed or was the fall guy for shooting the Secretary of Defense, whose name was Charles Kirkland. And Charlie Kirk, by the way, his real name is Charles. Charlie Kirk's name is Charles Kirk. The character in the movie, his name is Charles Kirkland. There was a police car or an ambulance that was coming to the scene. Let me show you all the number that was on top of that vehicle. Can you make this up? Can anybody make this up? Can anybody make this up? What in the world? Right. Tyler the Executioner. Exactly. The number on top of this emergency vehicle is 47, which is one of the numbers, obviously, that is considered for Donald Trump, considered both the 45th and the 47th president of the United States. Now I want to move into Candace Owens. Like I said, I'm not going to waste too much time in this live. Let's move to Miss Candace Owens.
So the month before he lost his life. And here is Charlie in his own words about how he was feeling.
How is your relationship with Candace Owens nowadays?
She's a great friend. You know, look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. Look, I have different views on things as Candace. I have different views on Israel than Candace. I have different views on a lot of geopolitics. But honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband. I went to Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. But what I don't like is when people demand, you must stop being friends with somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a left-wing tactic. Don't do that. I'm not saying you do that, but other people do that. We should never resort to that. In fact, if you believe what I believe, shouldn't you want me to be friends with people that don't agree with us? Shouldn't you want me to also be a tool of influence? And so I think the world of Candace. She's a great mother. She certainly has very, very fun opinions at times. And she's a great talent. She says a lot of stuff that sometimes I don't agree with, but that's what makes our relationship and our friendship interesting. My advice to all of you, you might not like somebody, but never tell somebody like me to stop being friends with somebody on an interpersonal level just because of disagreement. It's bad. It's what the left does, and we should rise above it as conservatives. Thank you so much.
Charlie was a very loyal friend, and I'm going to continue to be a loyal friend to Charlie. I can't stand it. I cannot stand to see the lies that are being told. The people that are intentionally taking things that I say out of context, people that were trying to pretend that Charlie and I weren't friends. It is maddening, but I know that God never gives any person more than they can handle, and I can handle it. And I am handling it.
This is a
Now, do any of you know who Michael Rapaport is? Do any of you know who Michael Rapaport is? Before we talk about Candace, I'm going to let you all listen to what Michael Rapaport. He went on this hinge. I mean, he went unhinged on Candace. I want you all to listen to what this guy said. Michael Rapaport. Okay, some people know who he is. Listen to what he had to say about Candace Owens. Listen to this.
An artist. Why do you people keep going back to the well of Candace Owens? The don't deliver. The has not delivered. She's always like, I got receipts. Where are the receipts, bitch?
Wow.
What makes you happy, Candace Owens? You're a mother of small children. You seem miserable. And you seem more and more miserable as the days go on. Why are you talking about Charlie Kirk less than a week after he was killed in cold blood? Let his wife do that. You're not his wife, bitch. You're a groupie. Let's not forget just a few weeks ago, kooky Candace Owens, miserable Candace Owens, rotten Candace Owens interviewed Harvey Weinstein from jail. And her big reveal was nothing. You don't deliver on anything. She's like, I got receipts on Charlie Kirk. I got receipts on Israel and the Mossad. And they had to, where are the receipts, bitch? You never deliver the receipts. You get people watching and you don't deliver. It's Geraldo Rivera opening Al Capone's vault time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. You never deliver. Now you got yourself in a big pile of shit with Macron and his wife. I hope they sue you, bitch. Where are the receipts, bitch? You miserable dog. I'll tell you something. The Mossad, Israel, Charlie Kirk wasn't on the list. There's way more important fish to fry than Charlie Kirk. You were chasing after Kanye. What happened with you and Kanye? What happened with you and Kanye, Candace? What really happened with you and Kanye West? There's allegations. People are saying things. I can't confirm or deny. Me personally, I have no proof. I can't believe that you would do so because you're a Christian, right? You're a Christian, right, Candace? You're such a devout Christian. You don't act like a Christian. Are you a Christian? Are you? See, no. Christian in name only.
Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this person? What was that? This unhinged rant calling this woman the B word. Listen, bro. First and foremost, I said I'm not going to waste time in this live. So I'm not going to interact as much as I have in the past with the comment section because, again, I'm trying to be mindful of the watching experience for those who may not be able to catch this live. Let me get straight to the point with Michael Rapaport. Michael Rapaport is Jewish. He's upset because Candace Owens does not and has not been friendly when it's come to the Israeli government. He's really upset with that. This guy just sat here and said Charlie Kirk wasn't important enough and wasn't on the Mossad's list. How would you know? How would you know that? These simple-minded people, and this is not even coming from a place of attacking him. I'm just trying to understand, how don't you people see past this surface level? If a person gets assassinated, it's who they tell us did it. That's who did it. I know for a fact because the FBI told us. I know for a fact because the CIA told us. What? Huh? This person is upset because Candace Owens has been very critical of Israel, but he's an American citizen. What you so upset for, bro? He said that Candace Owens never delivers. Are you kidding me? What Candace Owens you watching? Because you give credit where it's due. Even though, once again, I want to say this for people who are new so that they're not confused about my position on Candace. I don't believe that you can have 5 million followers getting 2 and 3 million views per YouTube video, hundreds of thousands of likes and impressions on Twitter for every tweet without being controlled. There's a very good chance that Candace Owens, his husband, is her handler. Just like I believe that Brigitte Macron is to Emmanuel Macron. For those of you who don't know, Emmanuel Macron is the president of France. I believe that Brigitte Macron is to Emmanuel Macron what Erica Kirk was or is to Charlie Kirk. Just like in the music industry, certain people are sent to other people. And a lot of times it's females that are sent, or a part of the industry that are sent to male celebrities that are just now entering the industry to keep a close eye on them, to keep those that are in charge informed on what this person is thinking, how this person is feeling. Are they sort of like changing? Are they feeling different about what they used to stand for? That's what I believe. Everything I said in this video is alleged. That's what I believe Erica Kirk was to Charlie Kirk. The same thing Brigitte Macron is to Emmanuel Macron, and potentially what Candace's husband, I believe his name is George Farmer, what he could potentially be to Candace Owens. Right? I think these people are sent to be watchdogs, if you will. Then you got people like simple-minded people like Michael Rapaport, who supports nothing but degeneracy. He supports anybody that's for degeneracy. Why do all these people happen to be ungodly? Why? Why people like Michael Rapaport, why people like him are always ungodly? They tend to be either agnostic or they just live in life fluidly. They're fluid. They're freely living life. No morals, no integrity. People like Michael Rapaport protects Hollywood. Then he goes after somebody. If you're going to go after Candace, go after Candace for legitimate reasons. You can't go after her for something that she's actually good at, which is research. Give credit where it's due. But while we're on Candace, there's something we need to talk about. Candace Owens is in a very tough position right now. She's in a very tough position right now. Candace Owens is going to have to explain. I predict that by next week, Candace Owens is going to be talking about Erica Kirk. So I meant to actually screenshot it, but she went live yesterday and she actually hearted. She liked a comment under her video that told her to go and check out the movie Snake Eyes. Candace is not going to be able to continue this Charlie Kirk investigation without addressing Erica Kirk. That's the biggest elephant in the room. I don't care if you personally knew them. I know that puts her in a very difficult position. But Candace Owens is going to lose a lot of credibility. This is going to make a break, so to speak, or this is going to really communicate to a lot of us that still actually listen to the investigation of Candace Owens. We trust her enough for that. But if Candace Owens decides to take this investigation off to the left or off to the right or go backwards, which I don't think she'll do, but we'll see. That's when we'll know if Candace Owens is controlled opposition. Because there is no way Candace Owens can continue this investigation and she don't begin to question Erica Kirk. She actually defended Erica Kirk yesterday. She said that she's seeing a lot of the backlash that Erica Kirk is receiving when it comes to the fundraiser email that she sent out, because it came off as distasteful that Erica Kirk, that Charlie Kirk's wife, would be asking for money immediately after his death. Sure, I agree. Candace Owens, we don't care, or I should say, we care very little about a freaking fundraiser email. What we care about is these rumors about the fact that Erica Kirk began a ministry in Romania that was accused of trafficking children. That's what we care about. What we care about is the weird and suspicious ties she has to Donald Trump. And one could even say Jeffrey Epstein, because Jeffrey Epstein, I talked about this on Patreon, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were very close in the modeling industry. Very much so. What we care about, Candace Owens, and if you have any integrity, and if you're not controlled opposition, this will prove it. Because if she goes about this investigation, completely hopping over everything that's pointing back to Erica Kirk, we're going to know it. We're going to freaking know it. Erica Kirk is clearly the red flag in all of this. Right? Erica Kirk is the red flag here. She's the missing link. Because I'm going to make a connection a lot of you may have not made as of yet. Charlie Kirk started Turning Point USA, which is a 501c3, when he was 18 years old, immediately after high school. Who did he start Turning Point USA with? He started it with a 72-year-old man named Bill or William Montgomery. All right? Bill Montgomery saw Charlie Kirk speaking at a college event or something, a local college, and saw the potential, saw the star power, convinced this 18-year-old not to go to college, and I believe that he groomed Charlie Kirk. I believe that he groomed him to start Turning Point USA, which is going to be almost like a vessel, a conservative vessel that was going to push pro-Israel agendas. They got him while he was young. Well, here's the connection. Erica Kirk, at 17, how many 17-year-olds you know starting ministries in other countries? And both involve children. There's a clip of an early Charlie Kirk saying that his organization was going to be targeting thousands and thousands and recruiting thousands and thousands of children, right? Young people. Same thing with Erica Kirk. Her organization was about orphanages, right? You know, prioritizing small children. She started that when she was 17. Who was Erica Kirk's groomer? That's the question. Who was her groomer? Yeah, that's the question, because that's a similarity between Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk. They both started very, very young. Both started organizations very, very young, and they both of their families is tied to Donald Trump. Charlie Kirk's dad, for those of you who didn't see my video, Charlie Kirk's dad worked in the Trump Tower. He was an architecture in the Trump Tower. Well before Charlie Kirk became politically involved for Donald Trump. His wife, who he met in Israel, just so happens to start modeling after she never did it a day in her life, and immediately won Miss Arizona in 2012 under Trump. Trump is the connecting piece for both of these people. Candace Owens is going to lose a lot of credibility if she keeps ignoring this Erica. It's too obvious. The type of investigations that Candace Owens has done over the past 2 years on her channel, girl, the way that you think, most of your followers know how you think. You would have been talking about Erica Kirk 2 days ago, 3 days ago, because you pay attention to the internet like we do. Erica Kirk is everywhere. I know firsthand many people have sent my video to your tips hotline or email line. Candace Owens is going to have to address the Erica Kirk question by next week. And if she decides to tread lightly, Candace has controlled our position. Yeah. Because they're both Catholic. And like I've told you, I believe that's part of the piece. They're being used. That's the one thing about Candace is like, it's cringe. Like, really? The Catholicism piece, like, really? Don't talk about faith or not faith. Don't talk about Catholicism. I cringe. Stop. 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 And it just so happened that Charlie Kirk, who was a Protestant, was married to a woman who was Catholic. How does that work? I know some households can do it, but those aren't small differences. Yes, it's important that you believe that Jesus Christ is Lord. But that shouldn't be the only thing that matters. If you're praying through Mary, if you're putting popes and priests on pedestals as if there's some sort of intermediary between you and God when they're not. Preachers are supposed to be spokespersons, not the intermediary between you and God. You're supposed to go to God directly. The scriptures speak about this. She's going to have to address Erica Kirk, or she's going to lose a lot of credibility. Another question I have for Candace is, how is Candace Owens getting the original footage to some of these videos on her channel? I'll go to the comment section for this. Has anybody noticed that? Over the past week, every live that Candace has had, she is finding the original person to record a video. How? If a video clip, when it was hundreds of people recording out there, if many of them have went viral, maybe y'all know something that I don't. But how are you able to find this incredible, like, how? She said she was able to find the original person that recorded this video. The original person that recorded this video. How are you doing that? Does she know something I don't know? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Because I'm not understanding that. I'm not saying that it has to necessarily be something suspicious behind it, but it's just not making sense to me. It's not making sense to me. But Candace Owens is going to have to address that. Right? Because I'm telling y'all, she has had to have seen all the theories I hear that both Charlie Kirk may not even have been deceased and the character was killed off. But the person is still alive. Are y'all following me? Everything I say in this video is alleged. Are y'all following me? The person is still alive, but the character was killed off, just like in the movie, just like in the film. Right? Well, somebody said Candace is getting inside info from TPUSA. Yes, she's getting inside info from Turning Point USA when it comes to like their financial status, which I want to talk about that. I'm glad I read this comment. I want to talk about that here in a sec because there's something interesting I want you all to pay attention to when it comes to that. But it's the other information I'm not understanding. It's people in Utah. She's finding out the students. And some of them weren't even students. She's finding out the original person to record the shooter on the roof. I'm gonna read this comment somebody put under my video earlier today. Somebody said, where is it at? Matter of fact, I'm gonna just share it on the screen. Hold on. I'm gonna show y'all this comment that had me rolling. I was laughing really hard at this comment. Okay. Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all something. Somebody said, this comment says, the fact that she's not pushing, and this is in response to Erica Kirk. Someone commented under my video and said, the fact that Erica is not pushing for a real investigation of Charlie's death with all the real evidence and information going around says it all for me. I 100% agree. Somebody commented under this comment and said they caught the killer and he's in jail. Look at what the response said, y'all. Somebody said, yeah, the one that was posing on the roof for everyone to see, jumping and walking and texting to confirm it was him and was caught exactly 33 hours later. Nah, I am surprised he didn't wave at the cameras. Exactly. Nobody's buying this, bro. Nobody's buying this. But I do want to address this comment right here. I do want to address something. Candace Owens shared that, and she provided proof that apparently Charlie Kirk was not only questioning the finances of Turning Point USA, but here's the most important part that was really overlooked by a lot of people, I believe. He was also questioning where his money was coming from. Did y'all hear that? Charlie Kirk was questioning where all the donations were coming from. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because this could support the fact that maybe Charlie didn't know what was going on. And maybe Charlie was collateral damage and was being manipulated. Maybe. But these people were receiving over $80 million. They had over 1,000 employees. This is before he was even 30. Do y'all understand how massive that is? He was questioning where the money was coming from, which says to me, first and foremost, I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He knows a lot of that money was coming from pro-Israel people and organizations. He knows that. But he may not have known where a lot of it was coming from because people felt obligated to tell him what he could and could not say. He was questioning where the money was coming from. That's crazy. That's crazy. Somebody said M stands for Matt, their son's name. Where did you find that at? Where did you find that at? I believe it when I see it. Honeypot. All right, let's get to some super chats. All right. The Sparrow, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Turning Point Faith is another part of the organization, and the prosperity preachers that are a part of the organization will make you do a double take. They have prosperity preachers at Turning Point USA, which, by the way, Donald Trump has one. Did y'all know that? Donald Trump has a female pastor or some woman that's involved in faith, but was bringing in like millions of dollars in donations on his behalf. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Lance, thank you for the $5 super chat. I mean, they both have blonde hair and blue eyes. Of course, they look alike. Well, hold on. Having blonde hair and blue eyes that don't necessarily mean that you look like. There can be some vast differences. I do believe that they don't necessarily look like, but they favor. I believe that they favor one another. But thank you for the comment, though. Misty Blankenship, thank you for becoming a member. Sheila Cassiano, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Joe Rockhead, as always, man, I appreciate the $10 super chat, big time. I mean, super sticker, big time. The Real Estate Gamer, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. We watching a three-way civil war, but spiritually, it has already been written that we have won. The devil will not win. The elites can infight all they want, and it is written this war is already won. Hang on, amen to that. Amen to that. Amen. Like when I make this content, I don't make it to scare people. I make it so people can be informed, right? That's all. Rapaport is being paid to spew hate. He is a Z-list actor who hasn't worked in years. Chocolate Beauty 8, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I agree. That dude has so much vitriol towards so many people, but especially if you're critical of Israel. Lance, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. She might have another lawsuit on her hands. Who? You talking about Candace? And are you meaning if she specifically talks about the Charlie Kirk or the Erica Kirk situation the wrong way? That could be something she's thinking about. I agree. She wants to tread lightly. I think what Candace Owens is doing is, I believe she is specifically, what is it called? Buttering up and defending Erica Kirk so that people can't say she never said anything nice about her. So that she can then slowly transition into being critical and questioning some things. I believe that. I could be delusional, but that's what I believe she's going to do, because there's no way you're going to be able to continue this investigation and Erica Kirk isn't called to the front of the congregation, so to speak. You can't. It's impossible. Her name is everywhere. The red flags are everywhere when it comes to her, especially if she covers the movie Snake Eyes. It's going to implicate Erica. Jason Turbo, thank you so much for the $4 super chat. Thank you once again for the $4 super chat. Means a lot. Jason Turo, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Latoya Logan, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. TPUSA booked and paid for his memorial venue in advance. Y'all, did y'all know that his family didn't even speak at his memorial? Can anybody tell me if it was an open casket or not? That's really what I want to know. I looked it up and I couldn't find the information. Does anybody know if Charlie Kirk's funeral or memorial was open casket or not? Because none of his family got to speak. Donald Trump spoke. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Donald Trump was the keynote speaker. It wasn't even Erica Kirk, if I remember correctly. Okay, somebody said it was open casket. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. If it was open casket and everybody, including civilians, was able to see him, then there could be something there. But if not, I'm not going to trust that, because if only the elites got to see him, we don't know what we don't know. I'm going to put it that way. She was photo touching his hand at the memorial, or you mean before the memorial? Because we've already addressed that. That was not Charlie Kirk in that casket, allegedly. Allegedly. But the people that spoke at his memorial was not his family. It was an RNC convention, exactly. Fireworks, and Trump was up there dancing. I didn't see a casket either. Where was there a casket? Where? People are saying open. Where? Where? Shout out to Sheila Cassiano for the $5 super chat. Erica Kirk was live today on Charlie's channel. It was disgusting Watch her eyes and no tears. Once again, she went live and she didn't cry. Are you kidding me? I almost feel like they're trying to. She's such a bad actor. If she was a good actor, I'll give her that. She's a bad actor. She's a bad actor. She went live. I'm gonna have to go and check it out, and maybe I can talk about that another time because I really want to dissect that. And if she did a bad job, Candace would have saw it. And if Candace Owens once again decided to go live and talk about this and ignore the fact that Erica Kirk's behavior has been very weird, it's been very suspicious, the acting has been terrible. It's scripted. And I already showed y'all in the Erica Kirk video and the Snake Eyes video the similarities from the monologues that were given in the movie and the monologues that was given by Erica Kirk. They almost align in sync. I'm done with the coincidences. You're not going to be saying the same phrases like Jezebel, that Jezebel point. Megyn Kelly talking about there was a hex put on Erica and Charlie Kirk the day before he passed away by some company named Jezebel. In the movie Snake Eyes, there was a hurricane or a storm called Jezebel. And they spoke about it multiple times to make sure that you understood that. Stop it. Stop it. Jason 410, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Didi, you're a real one, brother. So glad you're not one of the Masonic or small hat shields spreading disinformation. Absolutely not. I'm a regular kid from the South with a bunch of questions. And we learning together. When things don't make sense, don't try to shut me up. Don't tell me not to ask questions. That's why I started off this live with that experience that I had in real life. It would eventually lead to some other catastrophic outcomes, but I won't get into that for legal reasons. But yeah, don't tell me what not to ask. Don't tell me what not to talk about. Nothing's off limits. If something does not make sense, ask questions. Just to make sure y'all understand, we don't talk about Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk because we're gossiping or we care about celebrities. It's because if we get people to see what they're doing, you're able to see the world for what it really is, because once again, the truth is truly stranger than fiction. It's when you can go to a 1998 movie that has 35 parallels down to the name of the person, the same name, there's no denying it. That's not a coincidence. Shot in the same part of the body, was the Secretary of Defense. One would argue that Charlie Kirk was defending another country on behalf of this country and was put in place. Stop it. Joe Rockhead, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, my guy. They are all a part of the deception. It's hard to, because of their different talents that would throw most people off. It's called duality. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one last thing I want to speak about. Well, actually, hold on, get to these. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Jason Turo. What do you think of Stephen Miller's speech? It sounded like coded white supremacists talk to me. I actually didn't see it. If you don't mind just telling me what he said, I'm not familiar, unfortunately. Otherwise, I will give you my thoughts, but I'm not familiar with it. Measured Man, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Pay attention. The quote-unquote fear, anxiety, and confusion they do is Masonic energy harvesting, so we have to draw lines. Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, from August 22nd to September 22nd is it's a period for occultists. I forget what it's called. I don't want to get it wrong. But August 22nd to September 22nd, that's a period that occultists typically do their rituals. Now, for those of you that may be new to this stuff, I know it sounds mythical. I think I'm reasonable. I don't talk about this stuff unless it's some legitimate reasons to believe it. Whether you believe it or not, as I always say, it doesn't matter. What matters is that they believe it. Moloch was an actual god that people worshipped and gave sacrificed their babies to. It's not only in scriptures. but it's in history. Moloch is an actual entity that many people believed in and still believe in to this day. So as real as we think Jesus Christ is, they think Moloch is that real, and they worship this entity, right? And there are certain periods, just like people go to church on Sundays, they have certain days and times of the year that they celebrate things too. Shout out to Roxy1990 for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you so much. But heck yeah. But back to this point right here, I'm going to end this live off with this. Even if they have a son named Matt, which I don't know that to be true, even if their daughter name is Gigi, which by the way, Gigi is the same name of Kobe Bryant's daughter. Do y'all remember that? Kobe Bryant passed away in a helicopter crash. I got a video. I got like an 8 or 9 part series coming on Kobe Bryant on Patreon whenever I can find time to get to it. If I had a team, I would have had at least 2 of those videos out already. His daughter that passed away with him, her name was Gigi. Her name was Gigi. And these people are part of another quote-unquote public sacrifice. They have a daughter named Gigi. So that's interesting. That's very interesting because Kobe Bryant was a high-level Luciferian, allegedly. Allegedly. Random Christian, brother, you need to watch and control your own flesh. The devil wants you to fall whichever way you are leaning. Avoid anger and pride while on the pursuit of truth. You will lose protection from God. Thank you so much for the comment. If this was meant to me, I know y'all talk to each other in the comments, but I'm assuming this was meant for me. Thank you. I think this is fair critique and criticism, and I'm open to it. You're absolutely right. I'll try my best to pay attention to that. Absolutely, you're right. Gigi 77. You know what's funny? I wasn't going to talk about that here, but very good good point. Gigi, which is 77, when I'll give y'all this much because I'll get too deep. In short, the last game that Kobe Bryant attended at the Los Angeles Center, not to get off topic here, but it's kind of related and it kind of further drives home the point about how these people operate, was the Dallas Mavericks against the Los Angeles Lakers. There's an infamous photo of Kobe Bryant embracing star basketball player Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is now a Los Angeles Laker after one of the arguably the craziest trade in NBA history happened. But would you like to know the number of Mr. Luka Doncic, which was the last game in the Staples Center that Kobe Bryant attended? You guessed it. Luka Doncic's number is 77. Who was at that game with Kobe Bryant? Gigi. Gigi. True story. No. His number is 77. True story. Yep, he was pursuing, but it's actually a little bit deeper than that, though. There's a lot of moving parts, including other players. I won't say no names on YouTube, but it's other players that's actually involved as well. Yep. True story. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get the rest of y'all's Friday night to you. Be safe. I'll try to hold on now. Shout out to Pretty Vacant for the super sticker. Means a lot. Shout out to is it George or Jorge Flores for the $2 super chat. Love your videos, but weren't you involved in the industry? No. I'm literally an everyday person, bro. Like, no. I went to the Clinton school. I've met President Clinton before. I've met Hillary Clinton before. I have a picture with Hillary Clinton. But no, I've never been a part of any quote unquote industry. I'm 31 years old. I'm from the South. I'm an everyday person just like y'all are. And I have a lot of questions. And I present to you all what I find. And if you accept it, you accept it. If not, I always encourage people to think for themselves. Don't just take my word for it. Yep. Didi got merch. Check out the merch. Check out the merch. Well, you won't be able to find this one. Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast. You won't be able to find this. This is a shirt I got made strictly for my street interviews. But yep. All right, man. I love y'all. Stay safe. I'm out. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Peace.